H.R. 2231, which requires the administration to complete its Atlantic environmental impact statement by December 31st of this year, which will pave the way for us to calculate new estimates of the tremendous energy potential that's off our shores. It's been 30 years since geological and geophysical studies, including seismic studies, have been conducted in Atlantic waters. Now, those studies used outdated technology, and our current estimates for the energy that is out there are surely inaccurate, and I believe they're low. For example, we've collected 5 times more oil from the Gulf of Mexico than the government estimated to be there in 1983. The study also will allow us to move forward with a critical component of renewable energy, and that's wind. So for all those reasons, the administration must stay on track here and issue its long-awaited environmental impact statement, and do that on time. That's what my amendment ensures happens, and it moves forward with energy production and, really importantly, job creation using the best science available. I reserve the balance of my time. I certainly will, Mr. Chairman.
I think the gentleman's amendment makes a great deal. We've had discussions in our committee on the accuracy of the data, and this legislation says at least sales ought to be...
Gentleman's time has expired. The gentleman
I yielded a minute to the
gentleman is recognized for 1 minute. Thank you.
I thank the gentleman. And the point is that this legislation says that one ought to drill where the resources are. And the gentleman's amendment, I think, goes a long way in that direction, and I commend him for that, and I support it, and I yield back to the gentleman.
I thank the chairman, and thank you for your leadership on this bill. And I'd like to yield a minute to my friend and colleague, the gentleman from Virginia, Mr. Whitman.
Gentleman from Virginia is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I rise in support of the gentleman from Virginia's amendment that sets a deadline for the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management to complete an environmental review to allow offshore Atlantic seismic studies to go forward. I have joined 42 bipartisan House colleagues urging President Obama to move quickly to complete the environmental analysis, and I ask unanimous consent to submit a copy of this letter and the response from the Department of Interior for the record.
That request has been covered under general relief.
Thank you. Unfortunately, the Department of Interior is well over a year behind in completing its work. As you know, delays continue to prevent the creation of thousands of good-paying jobs and around $19.5 billion in federal, state, and local revenue. I'm glad to join with Chairman Hastings in support of the Offshore Energy and Jobs Act, and these measures are important for Virginia in this nation, supporting domestic energy security, revenue sharing, and job creation. This is about jobs, energy independence, and just plain old common sense. And I urge my colleagues to support this amendment and this important energy bill. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Gentleman from Virginia yields back. Gentleman from Virginia reserves. For what purpose does the gentleman from California seek recognition?
I rise in opposition to the gentleman's amendment.
Gentleman from California is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You know, as part of the Interior Department's 5-year plan, the Department of Interior is preparing to allow companies to reevaluate the potential oil and gas resources in the Mid and South Atlantic using seismic and other testing. The Interior Department is currently going through the process of preparing a programmatic environmental impact statement for that testing because they have received 9 permit requests for seismic airgun surveys. They determined that because of the scope of interest, a programmatic EIS under the National Environmental Policy Act is needed prior to permitting any new large-scale seismic surveys. The programmatic EIS would establish a framework for future NEPA evaluations of site-specific actions while identifying and analyzing mitigation measures for future programmatic use. Despite the claims of the majority, Mr. Chair, the Interior Department already intends to finish this programmatic EIS by the end of this year. The Bureau of Ocean Energy Management Director, Boudreau, testified before the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee on May 16th of this year that, and I quote, "In the spring of 2012, BOEM released the draft Programmatic Environmental Impact Statement, the PEIS, for proposed geological and geophysical activities in the Mid and South Atlantic for public comment. The completion of this PEIS is part of a region-specific strategy with respect to oil and gas exploration and development that will focus on the need to update information in order to inform future decisions on whether and where leasing would be appropriate. The final, and I quote, the final PEIS is expected to be published at the end of this year." That's just what Interior said just over 1 month ago. Their intention is to finish this work by the end of this year. But if some reason Interior needs to complete additional surveys, we should not prevent them from doing so. But that's what this amendment would do. It would potentially short-circuit the NEPA process. We should allow the Interior Department to finish its work to ensure that these activities can occur in a way that does not adversely impact the environment and not tie their hands, as the gentleman would do. I urge defeat of this amendment that would potentially truncate a proper environmental review, and I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman from California reserves the balance of his time. The gentleman from Virginia is recognized.
How much time is available here on this side? All right.
Gentleman from Virginia has 2.5 minutes, and the gentleman from California has 2.5 minutes.
I yield myself as such time as I may consume here.
Gentleman from Virginia is recognized.
I appreciate the gentleman's argument. I certainly don't agree with it. The concern that we have, that I have personally, of the administration's willingness to keep the tempo and the cadence of this whole process going forward is real. And if I approach this with a great sense of urgency, it's because people are hurting. And we need to diversify our local economy. This bill that the underlying bill supports could create 18,000 jobs in the Hampton Roads area of Virginia alone. And I just so appreciate the full support that we have in principle from Senators Warner and Kane on this very issue. This is a common sense, common ground, overall initiative to grow revenue that we need for better roads and healthier schools by responsibly, in an environmentally responsible way, moving forward with coastal Virginia energy. Our governor supports it, our General Assembly supports it, our 2 U.S. senators support it in principle. I ran on it, and it has the support of so many different groups, including the local chapter of the NAACP, the Chambers of Commerce. It's just a wonderful and frankly diverse group of coalitions that have come together to say this is what's best for Virginia and job creation. We need to move forward with this, and I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman from Virginia reserves the balance of his time. Gentleman from California is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I thank the gentleman from Virginia for his arguments, and the underlying process we have no problem with. The question is, why should we truncate this process at this time when an important work is now being done by the Department of Interior? We do not object to the Department of Interior going forward. The department has said in a timely manner they will finish this year. That is appropriate. It is not necessary at this moment to eliminate the environmental process when, in fact, we know it's moving forward in a fair and a judicious way. And if anything comes up, we need to hear that and understand that for future oil leases. And so I really request that we urge that the defeat of this amendment and allow the proper process to go forward, because we do not oppose the underlying process, the underlying theme of the bill, but we do oppose the truncation of the process. Thank you.
This time?
Yeah, I reserve the balance.
Gentleman reserves the balance of his time. Gentleman from Virginia is recognized.
How much time, Mr. Chairman?
Gentleman from Virginia has 1 minute remaining.
Well, I appreciate the gentleman's argument, but my deep concern about the federal government's real commitment to moving this forward is legitimate, and I urge the adoption of the amendment. And I yield back the remaining time.
Gentleman from Virginia yields back the balance of his time. Gentleman from California is recognized.
Thank you, and I just thank the gentleman from Virginia. But the federal government does have a commitment to, and the Department of Interior, to finish this in a timely manner. It has just been said, just reported in the past month that they are working at this. They will finish it this year. And so although notwithstanding the very strong arguments of the gentleman from Virginia, we do not support truncating the process, the environmental review process, and I urge a no vote.
Gentleman from California yields back the balance of his time.
Yes. I yield back the balance of my
Gentleman yields back the balance of his time. The question is on the amendment offered by the gentleman from Virginia. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. The amendment is agreed to. For what purpose does the gentleman from California seek recognition?
I request a recorded vote.
Pursuant to Clause 6 of Rule 18, further proceedings on the amendment offered by the gentleman from Virginia will be postponed. For what purpose does the gentleman from Washington seek recognition?
Mr. Chairman, I move the committee to now rise.
Question is on the motion that the committee rise. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The ayes have it. The motion is adopted. Accordingly, the committee rises. Mr. Speaker, the Committee of the Whole House on the State of the Union, having under consideration H.R. 2231, directs me to report that it has come to no resolution thereon.
The Chair of the Committee of the Whole House on the State of the Union reports that the committee has had under consideration H.R. 2231 and has come to no resolution thereon. The Chair lays before the House a message.
To the Congress of the United States, in accordance with Section 502F2 of the Trade Act of 1974 as